Hey guys, welcome back to our RAPP Chats. One of the things that we were talking about before this video was what is sex? Talking about sex, feeling comfortable about sex, and one of the things that we also wanted to talk about was talking to a trusted adult. So I wanted to, well, before we start a question, I'm Cassidy. My pronouns are she, her, and hers.
I'm Heather, they, them.
And Mariah, she, her.
Cool. One of the questions I wanted to throw out that we get a lot is, how do you talk to an adult about having sex for the first time? What was it like for y'all talking to an adult for the first time about sex?
I don't think I've ever talked to an adult about having sex until I became an adult.
Yep.
Hopefully you don't have that same experience if you are someone who is not an adult and watching this.
I did. I was lucky enough to. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So
I'm so curious about that experience for you.
Yeah.
Granted, like with my mom, super old school. She was like, you have sex, you get pregnant, and you die. That's it. So that was the end of that conversation. My mom's a lovely person, but that conversation was terrible. However, my oldest sister, who's 14 years older than me, I didn't talk to her about it before, but I did call her right after it happened for the first time.
Yeah.
And so after she like freaked out about her baby sister doing like not baby things, it was pretty cool. You know, she's just like, how do you feel? You know, do you have any questions? Are you okay? Was everything okay? Did they ask, like, you know, how you were feeling? Blah, blah, blah. You know, did you feel safe? Was mom home? It was pretty cool, like just having like someone to check in with me as opposed to like, no, you're not supposed to do this or you didn't do that right or blah, 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 you know, like being judgmental. So it was pretty cool having her. She's like my best friend. So that was great.
That's
great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Heather, what about you?
Yeah, I did not have any conversations about sex until I was an adult. I mean, technically, we got sex ed from a teacher who was an adult, but it was not great. And it definitely, like, I don't think anyone in that class felt comfortable asking questions or like even raising their hand. It was very awkward and not a space where we were like made to feel very comfortable or like this was like normal to talk about. Yeah. So if I could ask you, Mariah, and I can also kind of answer this, if you could go back, maybe like what would you have wanted to ask adults in your life, or knowing what you know now, like how would you approach that conversation? Because it can feel extremely hard if you are having to do it as a young person, if you're having to approach adults rather than them kind of creating that space for you.
Mm-hmm. That's such a great question. I think that what I would have wanted was not, and I think we hear this all the time from our students, is I don't know what I would have wanted, but I can tell you what I definitely didn't want and why I didn't feel like talking to any adult in my life. I didn't want judgment, and I didn't want a lecture.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be told how to make decisions. Because when you're a young person, like, and maybe that's how all of you feel and the young people we work with, like, you want to make your own decisions. You're your own person. Always, every person is their own person and don't want to be told what to do. And especially about sex. And parents care about us and love us and have their own opinions. And sometimes the care and the love can feel like control. And especially when it has to do with sex, which is such an intimate thing. That's why I think can be hard to talk to an adult about it, especially an adult you're related to.
Yeah, that's so true.
Can I just add to that? I think that's a lot of why I did it first before I said anything.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm I'm grateful to say that I was in a good place before having the discussion, but nonetheless, I think that's a lot of why I just did it and then had the conversation first. But back to you, Heather. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point. I mean, same. Yeah, it's such an intimate and personal and sort of scary thing. At least it felt like that way for me. And I didn't want to get in trouble or feel judged or be made to feel. I think I felt a lot of shame when I was younger about like having sexual desires. And I felt like if I talked to the adults in my life, like that shame would just come out in the open and it would get even bigger. So it's really hard. It's really, really hard. I really feel for young people who are in that position and who need resources and education and support, and sort of the onus is on them to ask for it. I wish it was the other way around for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would say it's so interesting to hear all three of our experiences and sort of feel like a little bit of like a weight of like kind of sadness, and maybe not even sadness, but just of the challenge. And so if you are a young person and watching this, know that any of your early RAPP educators are people that can talk to you about this, and that are available to you, because it's not also your responsibility to teach your parents or your guardians in your life how to talk to you. That's not your responsibility. You don't need to do that. But if you do have questions, whether that's us, any early RAPP educator, or another teacher at your school, or a guidance counselor, or an auntie, or a grandma, or a sister, then that's great. And those are the resources that you can identify. And so hopefully you know who those adults are that you can talk to about all these things.
What would you say for a young person that feels like they don't have an adult that they can talk to, especially when we think about social distancing and having to stay at home? And so what would you say to a young person? How would they find someone to talk to?
So what's coming up for me is like the wealth of online resources that are available, and that might be a whole other discussion, how to sort of differentiate between really good online sources and not so good ones. But one that I would recommend right off the bat is Scarlet Teen. I don't know if either of you have used Scarlet Teen before. I've heard of it. Yeah, really awesome resource where you can post questions to forums and they have trained sexuality educators answering them. So if you absolutely cannot find anyone in your life to talk to, I get it, I've been there. Scarlet Teen is a really, really great resource, and this is an idea for another RAPP chat, is how to find those resources for sex education online. Any other recommendations?
Amaze, all of their stuff, all their videos on YouTube. Amaze.org is great for everything from like the body to sex, relationships. So definitely those videos are great.
Yeah, agreed. The next one I would say is to talk to someone live is Scarlet Teen. Their forums and they'll answer your questions, but then also we always talk about loveisrespect.org, but loveisrespect.org. There's like a chat, there's something you can text, and there's someone else, and it's anonymous, that will talk to you. So I always love to push that one also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Definitely.